Hello again. This time I'm going to go through some more words from in and around Perthshire. And the first one I'm going to start off with, or should I say the first group I'm going to start off with, are words related to desire. So I suppose it's not that far off from want, really. So kind of related to sheed, iad, or tolach. So the first word is luik, luik, luik. And it is meant to mean want or desire or wish, I suppose. And there's a version that is used in Loch Tay, which is luaig ed, luaig ed. But the main one used in Perthshire seems to have been luik, luik. The next word is sund, sund, sund. And it's usually used like with a preposition, so ed. So sund odom, maybe there is a desire upon me. The next word is togged, togged. In other dialects, I think they've got like tograg, tograg. But the form that is used in Perthshire, from what I can see, is just togged. And then another word, durik, durik, or durik, I'm not sure. Maybe durik. And it usually means like to venture or to dare, but apparently it also has a meaning to wish for something, I suppose. I've only really seen it used in terms of to dare to do something. So I'm not going to focus too much on that word. So using luig, luig, I don't think it needs a preposition from what I can see. I can't find too many examples of it, but I did find one sentence which was, he desired to pluck her eyes out, I believe is the meaning, which is a bit grotesque really, but luiga nasulen spian esht. I think that's how you'd say it. Luiga nasulen spian esht. So he desire he, the eyes, and then I guess it's plucking or they're plucking from her. Something like that, or out of her. And then the next one is, I have no desire for food, using sand. So chanil sand odom son bia. Chanil sand odom son bia. So there is not desire upon me for food. The next one is using togged. And this is the only form that I found in my East Perthshire book, which is mahogad. Mahogad, which is kind of like, I guess it means like my wish or my desire, but it's translated as I couldn't care less. So if someone says, something that you don't particularly care about, mahogad, mahogad, like that, I suppose. Mahogad. And then from Armstrong's book, there is also marhograsu, marhograsu, if you desire, marhograsu. But I haven't seen that form used in East Perthshire. The next one is words similar to may. So may do something or may be allowed to do something. So it's kind of like permission or something like that. And the first one is food, food. So this is kind of like may be permitted to or may do something. And then another word is fairad, fairad, which is usually said as in like in a certain sentence or sentence pattern, like shared a don, shared a don. And fairda itself is may, shall, be able, ought, or can. So it has many different uses, I think. So we'll look at fairda a little bit more later, but first we'll just have a look at the may I sort of form, which is verd me follow, verd me follow, verd me follow, may I go. And then can a man be profitable, which is something that I picked up from the Armstrong Dictionary. Verdun vi tarwach. Verdun vi tarwach. Words related to must. So we talked about fedad just a couple of moments ago. Another, like the main form that I find is shedad. There are other forms from memory in the Armstrong Dictionary, but they don't show up in the East Perthshire book. So there's shedad. There's also imed, which is used as a verb in its own right, rather than fedad, which I believe would be a noun and then used with the is verb and then a preposition. And there's also ha-agamri or ha-egri. So it is at me towards, or it is at me to do. So kind of like I have to do, I guess. So all of these are basically translated to we must do or I must do, etc. So with shedad, it'll be shedagun yenu. Shedagun yenu. In the other dialects, it'd probably be shedagun a yenu, but the a isn't said in Perthshire. With imed, I think maybe in other dialects it would be imeri, but in Perthshire, from what I've seen, it's just imed. So imed mi shen yenu. Imed mi shen yenu. I must do that. And then in the same way, ha'agamri shen yenu. Ha'agamri shen yenu. I think those are the right sentence patterns for it. And they both mean I must do that. Moving on to words for need, as in needing something or needing to do something or being without something. The first one is fame. Fame is used in a noun form and also a verb form. And in other dialects, I believe it'll be famey, when you're saying that you need to do something in the future. But in Perthshire, it would just be famey, which sounds a bit confusing. In other dialects, I think it'd be like famey me. But in Perthshire, it'd just be fame me. So yeah, there you go. There's also faemach, which is kind of like needy or needing, but in a more like permanent kind of bad sense, I think. I mean, they're all kind of bad, but in the sense of like somebody who's been without food for a long time sort of thing, or, you know, the poor and the malnourished sort of thing, I think. And fame used in like with as a noun is usually hafem and then agam or egg someone. So there is a need at someone. There's also ye, which I think in other dialects would be ayi. It's, I guess it's want or it's lacking, something like that. And then another form is ha, something vuam. Ha, something vuam. So something is from me. I don't have something. Another word, or another sentence rather, is harigules, which this sentence form is just for saying like needn't do something. So you needn't bother doing something. And I think in standard it would be haruk, but that ruk has become rik in Perthshire, at least in East Perthshire. There's another one, which I'm not sure entirely, well, rather another two, but I think they're related to each other. And I'm not entirely sure of the pronunciation, but they both show up in various places in Perthshire. One of them is either esvi or esvi, or it could be yasvi, I'm not sure. The spelling is BHAIDH. And the other one is urasvi or urasi, perhaps, which just adds to that SV UIR. And I think they're used in a similar way to ye that we talked about just a little while ago. Anyway, I'll go into some of the sentences that use these forms. Let's have a look. So I need to do that would be something like fe mi shenyenu. I have no need of you would be something like chanel feim agam orst. Chanel feim agam orst. To be of use. That's right, yeah, because feim itself can also be like for use. It is without use, it is useless. So to say that it will be of use, it is not be feim, but it seems to be jen feim. So it will do use. For people who are like starving, who need food, I think would be something like femach ed bia. Femach ed bia. To use the word ye would be something like, I've got two sentences here. One is could ha ye orst? So what are you in need of? What are you lacking? What lacking is upon you? Could ha ye orst? And another one is habia yeorim. Habia yeorim, which is I am in need of, or I am lacking food. And I think this sentence pattern is also used in Irish. Although I think from memory they use a different preposition, whereas in East Perthshire the preposition is just deleted. It's gone. No preposition, just the remaining change to the word sound. It goes from G to ye. I am in need of a drink using vo would be hajoch vuam. Hajoch vuam. And this form definitely also turns up in Irish, but I'm not sure about the other dialects. Perhaps it does, I just haven't found any evidence of it so far. To say to someone, you needn't do that, would be something like, from what I know, from what I gather, rather, harigu les shen yenu. Harigu les shen yenu. And then I did find one sentence which was erson sv bia, or erson esi bia. So for want of food. And I'm assuming that uresi or uresvi, whatever the pronunciation is, would be exactly the same, but that's just a guess on my part. So erson uresvi bia, or erson uresi bia. So for words relating to hope, there's a couple that are used, but some of them are used far more than others. So for one Far East Perthshire speaker, yarps is more common than dorchs. So yarps is like trusting or hoping. So it's kind of like I am trusting that he will be able to do something. I hope that he will be able to do something. And then for blal, it would be dorchs, which is the very similar to the usual dorchas. And hami and dorchas. Hami and dorchs is the I think the pattern that is often used. So I hope hami and dorchs. Another word is sul, which not only is it I, but it can be used to talk about something like an expectation of the future or a hope for the future, etc. And another word which is not so common, I found, in the East, but I suppose it does pop up from time to time, is dul. But sul seems to be more common from what I can see. So using some of these words, the first one, yarabs, would be hamigarabs, which is I hope or I'm trusting. With dorchs, it would be hami and dorchs. For something like I have a hope or have an expectation of him, it'd be something like Hasulagam rish. Hasulagam rish. And then another sentence that I found in Armstrong's book is using dul, and that would be Gundul rishin. Gundul rishin, without hope of being stretched. I think it's in this case prolonged or lengthened rather than like physically being stretched, but I'm not entirely sure. The next one is talking about like a piece or a portion or a handful, etc. There's a few different words I've got here. One is bijak, which is a portion or a small distance. Bijak. And I think this is used like in place of like a little bit. You find often people say beggin or beg. I think it was used in place of that sometimes. If I remember correctly, though, I do have a pretty crappy memory, so I apologize if I've not got that correct. Another one is saud, which is a portion or a piece. Another one is durch, which is a portion or a chunk. There's another one, peich, which is a bit or a piece. I'm assuming it comes from the word piece, but I could be wrong. There's greim, which is like a handful, but it can also mean like to catch, to get a hand on someone, to get someone in hand, I suppose. Another word is sop, a sop. So it's like a wisp or a handful. It says in the book of hay, so like a handful of hay or wisp of hay. There's also ulag, which is a handful, and boshag, which is also a handful. But strangely, boshag in Armstrong's book had a different meaning, so I'm not sure about those ones. And then there was also ultach, which is an armful or a bundle. So using some of these words, a small bit, bijag krian. The word krian being more common than bek. A lump of bread, durch aran. Now, the sort of I can't remember what they call it. The genitive form, the form of a word that is used like with another word. So, for example, in this case, it was durch aran, which is chunk of bread or lump of bread. So it's kind of like something of something. In that kind of form, the aran becomes aran generally in other dialects. So the final N kind of becomes kind of like a ny sound in a way. Now, I don't know if this was the case in East Perthshire, because a lot of those final N sounds that were kind of, when they ended with that ny sound, they became just a standard N sound. So I'm not entirely sure, but I say it anyway just to, I guess feel like I'm being a bit more complete, I suppose. I don't know. But yeah, durch aran. To say something using saud, that I got a good piece of it, you'd say something like huad mi saud ma ye. Huad mi saud ma ye. A piece of cloth or piece of the cloth would be something like peich dan a chlúd. Peich dan a chlúd. A handful of grass, you could use graim, and it'd be graim fair. Graim fair. A handful of hay or a wisp of hay would be sop say. Sop say. I'm not sure about how to use ulag or boshag. I'm assuming it'd be similar to durch. So something like ulag aran or boshag arain, but I'm not entirely sure. And then a handful of sticks, rather an armful of sticks, would be ultach viranen. Ultach viranen. This video is quite long. Apologies. But the next one we're looking at is a list of words for fool or idiot or simpleton. And the first one is amadan. Amadan. Used as a noun for fool. The next one is gleich. Gleich. Which is an idiot or a fool, and again a noun. Gleich. And then the adjective form is gleichgach. Gleichgach. Foolish. Another word for foolish, so the adjective form, is gorach. Gorach. But it's also like crazy or stupid. And I've seen it used, for example, he was crazy for men. She was rather crazy for men. So gorach es on feran, etc. For clumsy or stupid, there is burach, and there's also kliabach. Kliabach meaning clumsy. Kliabach. So it's not necessarily stupid, just somebody who's clumsy. Kliabach. Another word for foolish seems to be klabach. Klabach. But I'm not entirely sure how it is used. It appears to be an adjective, of course, but I'm not sure how to use it. Some other words I found for simpleton or trifling fellow are kufen, kufen, and also kufer. But I think kufen seems to be the most Perthshire style, if that makes sense, because having the final sound doesn't... it's not something that a lot of Perthshire speakers used, it seems, though I could definitely be wrong. Another one I found is, I think, drollan. Drollan for simpleton or trifling fellow. Drollan, but I'm not entirely sure of the pronunciation, because D-R-E-O-L-A-N. I'm guessing it's drollan, but I could be wrong. And then for simple or weak-minded, which is kind of like stupid, I guess, you'd have foon, foon. And some of the words in sentences, nia amadan, nia amadan. So he will make fools, with the N sound being a ny, amadan. That makes it a plural. And using gleich, a fool with age. Gleich lehush. Gleich lehush. And she is foolish. Hai gleichgach. Hai gleichgach. When I was young and foolish, nur var mi og skorach. Nur var mi og skorach. And he was weak, or he was simple, I suppose. Var foon. Var foon. And the last small set is just going to be able. And once again, we've got our friend from before, food, as well as uren and murach. Murach. Murach is able to do, or able to be, I suppose. So, for example, so for something like I am not able of work, or I'm not capable of work, would be something like Haromi murach ed ober. Haromi murach ed ober. Often when you say I am able or capable of doing something, you'd say sundo. Sundo. That seems to be the most common form, sundo. And then, of course, there is food. Food me all. Food me all. Which is not necessarily capability, but it's more being allowed to do something, I think. So food me all would be kind of like I am allowed to, or I can drink. So can has various meanings. It's able, but it's also having the permission to do something. And I think food covers the permission side of things, whereas murach and uren cover the ability side of things. So food doesn't necessarily come underneath the banner of able, but I thought it was important to kind of make that distinction because that's the sense that I'm getting from it. But anyway, those are some of the words that I've found relating to those ideas, and this has turned out to be a very long video. I don't know whether that's a good thing or not because it's mostly just me rambling about things that I'm not entirely sure about. But I suppose it's better to look into these things and talk about them than to not do anything at all. So and it's definitely helpful for me and my learning as well. So thank you very much for listening. If you've made it to the end, well done. I don't have any medals or stickers, unfortunately. I wish I did, but I don't. So you're just going to have to take my verbal appreciation. Anyway, thank you for listening. Take care, everybody. Bianachle.